Hello Facebook, thank you for joining us. It's 7 o'clock. I am now live with you on Facebook but also on Instagram. I'm trying to look across two screens and help by helping across two screens. So if I look like I'm looking the other way, please know that's where I've gone, sort of thing. This is going to be literally a 15-minute call, okay? And we're just going to be talking about the real reasons why your Gundog won't switch off. Next week, we've got our LWDG Switch Off and Settle Challenge. If you want the link to that, you can literally, in Instagram, you can just write Challenge 25, it'll be sent to you. And if you're on Facebook, it's in the comments, I popped in there for you. But what I wanted to talk to you about tonight is not from the expert's perspective, because the experts will be with us next week doing loads and loads of free training on it. It's going to be absolutely fabulous. But really looking at it from our perspective as owners, because I live in a really nice position in the LWDG. I'm not a trainer, so I know what it's like to be you guys, to know what it's like to have a dog that's not switching off, a dog that won't settle, a dog that sometimes feels it's more hard work having an inside and then maybe it is out. Now, I've had also the benefit of my dad at kennels, so I know what it's like to know when the dogs are out of the home and you've got that peace and quiet. As it is, I love having mine indoors, okay? So they live indoors with me, as they do with many of you. But I want to talk about why our dogs, our Gundogs specifically, are highly active breeds and the way they are. So calm is not a personality trait for our dogs, right? It's a state of mind, and it's a state of mind for us as well as for our Gundogs. And what I mean by that is we can enter a state of calmness or we can step out of it. And we can meet some people and we think, oh my God, they're really calm, but they're in a state of calm. It's not a personality trait. Calmness is not who they are. It might be a learned behaviour, it might be in how they've developed, but it's something that we can go in and out of as humans, and our dogs can go in and out of as dogs. So that's really interesting for us to understand, because dogs will repeat while they rehearse. And what I mean by that is, if you've got a busy life, and the dog is used to being unsettled in that busy life, and that's their pattern of behaviour, that is the pattern of behaviour we will see. So like, give me a busy house on the comments if that's what your house is like, because most people's lives are really busy, aren't they? You tend to be that you're going from one thing to another. You're going from, I don't know, taking the kids to school, the postman's come in, your deliveries come in, Amazon's back and forth, whatever it is, there's a lot going on, and the dog lives in that. And sometimes we're not really conscious of what the dog is doing in that. They just plod around, they're not getting in the way, and we tend to build this pattern of behaviour where they are allowed to be busy and not settled in themselves. So one of the things that we definitely see, I think, and I hear it from the members all the time, over 800 members now, over 20,000 in our community, chat to loads of people every single day, is around our breed wiring, okay? So gun dogs, bred to notice. That's what their job is. They're not meant to sit there aimlessly, non-noticing anything. They're meant to mark things, acknowledge things, see what's going on. And that means that they are very in tune to what's going on. They're very highly sensitive to every sudden movement. So like, give me some yeps if you're you see a dog, you move your foot and they're like, what are you doing? Where are you going? And that's type of inability to just chill out in their own space. And field lines tend to have this in more intensity because they're even more bred to be that competitive. They have quicker arousal shifts. They have quicker changes in state. Which is what we want when we're out in the field, but when we're in the house and we're trying to settle the kids and we're trying to, calm everything down, that can sometimes be a very difficult situation for us to live with. And what I mentioned there is around arousal stacking, and that is around the small stresses in our day stack. They stack for us, okay? So we get up in the morning, we stub our toe, we can't find our clothes, we can't find the keys to the car, the doorbell's ringing, the kids talking to us, there's something on the TV, there's wildlife in the garden and dogs next door barking, and all this stuff is going on. And all those things are subconsciously or unconsciously acknowledged by us. Same with our dogs. Although our dogs are tuned in to acknowledging all this, that's their job. They're meant to be seeing all those things all the time. So when that's going on, what tends to happen is by the time the evening comes, the dog is almost exhausted a bit. Like, it's just been listening and paying attention to stuff all day long. It's never really been given the chance to settle in this space and to decompress, for want of a better word. I can see some of you saying in the comments, like, yes, certainly yes, my work clock spaniel and English Spring Spaniel go from asleep to full alert. Yeah, sometimes, like, literally, we can just, like, shift, and they're like, what do you need me to do? And that's great when we're out in the field, or it's great when we're training, but it's not so great when you decide, I actually just wanted to go and get a drink. I didn't need you to come with me. I mean, you all know that, yeah? So, like, you know, again, give me some yeses if you know what I mean. If you've got, like, the spaniel breeds, like, you see it across all the active breeds, but, like, definitely the spaniel breeds now, they're very in tune to our every single moment. And then we reinforce that behaviour. And what I mean by that is, movement and noise gets attention from us, or gets attention from a dog. Stillness really pays. So them chilling out and not doing anything doesn't get anything other than they sleep, they doze. As they get older, they get better at doing it normally if it's been taught to them. And calmness is something that's taught, like I said, it's a state. So why be still if moving around gets you acknowledged? Do you know what I mean by like that? Like, give me some, like, thumbs up. You know, if me opening my eyes and looking at you every time you move gets me to say, chill out now, buddy, I'm just going to go and get a drink, or some sort of recognition, relationship, some acknowledgement, of course you're going to do it all the more, because we're encouraging it unconsciously. I think sometimes as well, we are really good at, unconsciously again, engaging in patterns of behaviour. And what I mean by that is, like, you put the whistle on, dog knows what's going on. You put a certain type of pair of wellies on, dog knows what's going on. You do certain things and the dog already knows what that certain pattern of behaviour you're doing is going to mean for that, yeah? So what it means for them, what is going to happen. And they get all involved in that. And, like, I don't know about you guys, like, you can sometimes pick up a metal bowl, like you're going to go feed. Pick up the metal bowl, it only makes like a ding if you go metal bowls, and the dog's like, oh, food time. They're all really, really wound about that. And it's very easy for us not to change that pattern of behaviour, because we don't see it as being an issue. But when we look at it in relation to everything else we've just mentioned in this very short thing, you can see how all these things now are the real reasons why they're not switching off for us. The lounge, the kitchen, wherever they live in our homes can become a bit of a playroom for them. They're just used to having that space, go where they want, do what they want. You know, we don't want them created all day, every day, so they tend to live in our spaces like we do. But they can tend to use those spaces to their advantage. You know what I mean by that? They sleep with one eye open. Yeah, absolutely. They're like, where are you going and why are you going there? And we don't always realise, and when we go out to walk them, like, I see a lot in other groups, oh, I've walked the dog for 3 hours. I'm like, where were you going for 3 hours? Fitness is not a break, right? So I think we all need to, like, put this into our minds. Getting them fitter doesn't give them a better break. It doesn't give them better calmness. It just gives them more energy and more fitness. So we can't outwalk them. I've not yet met a Spaniel or a Labrador that you can outwalk. You can take them out, work them all day, bring them in, they will lay down to sleep, you will move and they'll say, where are we going again? And they mean it. They don't have that sort of switch off as a necessary part of their behaviour. We also have, like, time with them when we're outside where they get what I would say is, like, I don't know, their nitrogen. Like, we're throwing dummies, we're blowing whistles. They've got all that stuff going on, and because they've got all that cool stuff going on, they're used to ramping up their energy and being really, really wound. And if you haven't got a way of saying to them, right, switch your state back to calmness, then they don't really know what to do with that. And then when we go back into a state, it's very much easy for us to know what state we want to be in, right? Okay, if the world is going crazy around us, we can sometimes get very stressed and stay in that state. But sometimes far easier for us to go, oh, I'm in the house now, switch off, you know, like, I'm going to chill out and put my PJs on, a cup of tea, and we mentally go through a load of things that tells us this pattern is going to get me to calm down, yeah? So if you are like the cup of tea, calm down type, just give me some cups of teas or some little emojis so I know that you're all getting this. The dog doesn't necessarily have that. We have to teach that. So we need to teach them to come off this like high octane, high energy game into like this have a cup of tea moment. Obviously, I'm not giving them a cup of tea, but you know what I mean. And this tendencies take them up and down, tend to bring in as well inconsistent behaviours and inconsistent boundaries. And again, I'm not going to talk about the boundaries because the expert's going to talk about that next Wednesday. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. But how often do you, and I will put my hand up to you, you can give me some like hands up and see cups of teas. But how many times do we like go, I really don't want the dog on the sofa, I'm too tired to tell the dog to get off the sofa. Or I feel really good, I've not let the dog run out the door for 5 months, but today I've not really paid attention and they've done it. And those sort of like allowing of the boundaries to blur gives the dog uncertainty for opportunity. And with both, they can say, well, I can get more round about this because I can see where I can sneak them in. A little bit like our children, you know, when you put them to bed and they say to you, 5 more minutes, or they sit on the stairs, like literally, can I come down? Just waiting for that moment that we will break. And the moment that we break and we don't keep the boundaries exact, that's when our dogs will take absolutely massive opportunity from us. Can everyone else see video? I'm just getting sound, which is just as good as the auto subtitles are strange with a Welsh accent. I don't know, Sharon, is everybody else getting video? Can you give me like video in the comments so that I can see, so that I just know if you are getting video? Because I don't mind giving you a podcast, but I would prefer you all had video, bless you. Okay, so with that to come through. And also, because our dogs are doing this all the time, our dogs tend to not have much sleep. And what I mean by that is they are meant to have loads and they don't have enough, if that makes sense. So they should be having like a dog somewhere between 15 and 20 hours, depending on its age. And what tends to happen with us is they don't get that. They don't get anywhere near that. And that gives them this sort of sleep restlessness. And that really doesn't help them either. Oh, no video, just the sound. Okay, that's interesting. Let me have a little look, because it's saying I've got video. Bear with me a second. On Instagram, I think you can see it. Yeah, on Instagram, you can see it. Why is that doing that? Okay, well, I don't know how to fix it, and I don't want to stop and keep it longer than I promised. I have no idea why it does it. I'd love to understand Facebook more. I'd love to understand how these things work more, but if you want to see my happy little face, you'd have to go over onto Instagram, and maybe I can see if I can steal the video off there later and put it on here. Probably can't. Okay, anyway, so back to what we were talking about. Like this lack of sleep. They get a lack of true daytime sleep because they're tuned into everything that's going on around them. And because of all those things, they tend to have the lack of sleep that also then runs into lateness in the night. And what I mean by that is we'll come in from our days and we're all busy around them. And if they were ever going to have a little settle down and a sleep and a rest in the evening when they're already wound and they're already sort of overexerted, we all come in and go on without telling each other about our days and maybe not completely settling down straight away. And they want to see us and be involved with us, especially if they haven't been with us all day. So that's quite an obvious way where they just can't get back into this sort of pattern. Okay, other things that can affect them is adolescence and hormones. So I won't go into it because the experts are going to go into it, but when they're going through those ages from like 7-8 months up until 2 years, roughly somewhere in there, their hormones are playing holy monkeys with them like they do with us, and they can't find that ability to switch off, to find that state of calm. Like you guys can all remember being a teenager and you lost it over nothing. Like literally somebody looked you the wrong way and you burst into tears, or you get angry and want to fight with them, or whatever it was. It was really, really quick and really sudden. That doesn't keep us in a calm state of mind. So when we're talking about the dog that we want, that chills out and is calm and isn't affected by what we're doing, we can see how their hormones can massively and drastically change their ability to do that. Also, at that point as well, because of what they're going through, and because they're so restless, it can be a hard time for any family when you had this really cute puppy and you could sort of get them to sleep because puppies like to sleep, and then you get round to having this like adolescent who's just not able to switch off and settle. Okay, Last couple of things I want to talk about, because I promised you 15 minutes and I'm already at it, even though I'm talking very fast in my Welsh voice, is like the unmet job needs. And what I mean by unmet job needs is, going back to what I was saying about fitness, walking them, getting the first step fit, it's not a break. If we don't give our active dogs and dogs that were bred to do a job, they really, really struggle because they need that mental stimulation. So like, give me some like little brains or, you know, whatever little emojis you want to get for that sort of unmet job needs, books, whatever. That's what they're going through. And like, it's like saying to them, can you calm down, settle down? But for them, their state, they're not ready to calm down or to rest because they still haven't done something. So I don't know if you guys have had that, where you've had a day and you've had a day off work or whatever and you've been home all day and it was great for the first morning, and then in the afternoon you're a little bit like, I need to do something now, whether that's like go for a walk or go shopping or whatever it is, you need to go do. Our dogs are very much like that as well. So I want to finish this by saying to start looking for, I'm going to do loads of training about this next week in the Switch Off and Settle Down Challenge, which is totally free for everyone, is to start spotting the tells in your dog. Look for what they do. Are they scanning the room? Are they like startled? Are they responding too rapidly to movement? Do they pace? Are they hovering near you? Can you go to the toilet without them? Do they know to go and just like settle in their own space? And look for your what I suppose you'd call hot zones in the day. And what I mean by hot zones are times when they really won't settle. And observe that. Not don't worry about doing anything with it right now, because we're going to help you next week with that, but just observe that and say, oh, that's when that happens. Like if you listen to our podcast, Emma Liddell's been talking to you about, you know, their rhythms, their zoomies, their mornings, their nights, and all that stuff is good information and really, really helps with this. But look at your dog. As we say all the time, every dog is different. So don't be thinking your dog's naughty. He's not. It's just rehearsed behaviours in your home, and we're going to help you know how to switch that back the other way. Tired is not regulated in dogs. So with dogs, when they get tired, it doesn't necessarily mean they will sleep. It can sometimes mean they will be more of a pain in the bum. Same a little bit like children. You just think about that, and they're not ignoring you. Sometimes we think, oh, they're doing this on purpose. It's not on purpose. Have we taught them to find a state of calm? That's the question we need to ask us. And if you just look at your dog when he's being, you know, like we look at our dogs, think, oh, they're being a bit of a div. Have I taught that dog yet to find a state of calm? Most of us would say, actually, no, that's not something I've taught. I've taught sit, I've taught stay, I've taught, you know, box up, I've taught whatever, but have I taught how to calm down? Have I taught a switch off? Have I taught a settle? So tomorrow you've got me. I'm going to go live every week and just have a little chat from an owner's perspective. The experts are going to go through how to fix these things, how to improve these things. That's what they do absolutely beautifully. I would never want to try to do their job because they do a smashing job of it. They always help our members so much. But I want to talk to you this week about like why these things are what they are, so that you've had some time to like reflect on it before we go into the training, because I think that always helps. Dougie nudges me if I'm on my phone and knocks over my hand if you haven't gone training. Yeah, they've just got a way of telling us sometimes that they want something more than maybe we're given. Like I think on Emma's podcast, we're looking at the 7 lenses of behaviour, and I think it's either gone out or it's going out next Friday. We're doing a podcast session and she's talking about dogs share, don't quote me, 85% of our genes. Like, I was blown away when she told me that. I was like, 85%. We're all taught already, like, used to people telling us how many sort of genes we share with apes and chimpanzees, etc. Dogs, 85%, they're not that different from us, are they? Of course they're different from us, but that's a lot of parts of us that are very much the same as the dogs. Okay, so your dog's not broken, he's not being a div, he wants to be what you want him to be. We've got to teach them, and that's what we're going to be doing next week. We'll also be doing some prize draws, which are going to be absolutely brilliant. We've got over £500 of vouchers from Field and Fireside that we're going to be giving away for loads of different stuff, okay? So just make sure you're involved, make sure you get register for the challenge. Make sure that you look out for the emails that tell you how to go and wait for the challenge group to open. And we'll be starting up on the weekend, and we hope to work with you all next week to help your dog to switch off and settle down. I'll see you all tomorrow evening for our next live. Good night.